So Gilbert Burns is demanding a rematch. Is that a possibility? We're going to have a look at the MMA media, guys, the usual suspects, and the backpedaling and the copium that has been emitted since the fight on the weekend. And before we get into it, if you could hit subscribe, I'd love that. So yeah, let's go. So I did a little video there last week before the fight with Khamzat and Gilbert Burns, and it was about Schaub saying that he was going to go through 3 or 4 different divisions, and Bisping was kind of on the same path as him. I know the guys over at Weighing In, Ariel Helwani, who I can't stand, Chael Sonnen, who I really do like, they were all of the mind that Khamzat was going to run through everyone, absolutely no problem. And as I said in my last video, and I know that a lot of guys jumped into the comments and just read the thumbnail and thought I was like disparaging or denigrating Khamzat, I'm probably a bigger fan than him than ever. I absolutely love him. I want to see him go on and be the champion. I want to see him go on and destroy people. I love his fighting style. So don't read the thumbnail and then come at me thinking that you know exactly what I've said or what I've meant in my video. Watch the video, then come at me, and I don't mind. We'll have a conversation. I won't be disrespectful to anyone. We'll have an open discourse. I won't call names. A lot of people are into that. It is what it is. I'm fine with it. Throw it at me. Yeah, let's have a little listen to what Brendan Schaub said in the aftermath of the Khamzat fight.
That same version of Khamzat shows up that fought Gilbert Burns. If he doesn't learn from the experience, which I think he does, I'm just caveat this with if he doesn't make some adjustments, he will not beat Colby Covington. Which is insane to say, because go back to last Monday, and I went, Khamzat's going to be the welterweight champ, the middleweight champ. Who's going to beat him at light heavyweight? Chill, Brendan. Chill, dude. Chill.
And you know what? I actually like Brendan's take here again. Like the first video I did of Brendan Schaub and the second video, I actually really like him. I think he's got good takes. I think he borrows a lot from other people. It is what it is. I'm not here to disparage or denigrate anybody. They're doing their thing, they're hustling, they're grifting, if you want to call it that. And again, fair play to them. Off they go. I like his take here. He came back out and he said it. A lot of people in the comments didn't have the guts to come out and say it. Number 2 in the world regarding Gilbert Burns, or making the jump from number 11 to number 2 is no joke. There are a lot of the copium words and phrases that were being brandished about in the comment section yesterday. Another phrase that was used over and over again is, it's a learning curve, and listen, you'll get better. And I agree with all of that. I agree with all of that. I never said that that wasn't a thing. What I said was the MMA media, the MMA fans were building Khamzat up to be this unbeatable gladiator. And I just didn't like it because there is bias behind it. It is a premeditated plan to put this guy at the very tip top of the UFC roster. I don't have a problem with it. I can just see it myself. You know, it's transparent enough to know that Dana is calling this fight the best fight of all time. The best fight of all time. We have loads more reactions from Bisping, from Chael Sonnen, from Big John McCarthy and all these guys. And it all kind of comes along party political lines of, yes, he is as good as we thought. No, he doesn't drop any stock in the aftermath of this fight. So basically, it's kind of like what we see in the mainstream media regarding every aspect of social life, where it's, if you disagree with what we're saying about the conflict in Russia, if you disagree about the narrative surrounding C-19, if you disagree on any aspect of the culture war, then we have to shut you down and we have to make you look like you're completely insane. That you're the one that's completely off the beaten track here. And that isn't the case. The simple fact of the matter regarding and surrounding Khamzat Chimaev is he is a beast. He is a really good fighter. He's a really good guy to watch. He brings in the numbers. People want to watch him. He's got that X factor, kind of like the Conor McGregor thing. You want to see him in an interview. You want to see him playing basketball. You want to see him fight. You want to see him do all that stuff. He's got that appeal that everyone loves. So you already have us. You have us on the hook. We want to watch him. You don't have to tell lies to our faces. You don't have to continuously batter us over the head with the idea that he's going to run through 3 divisions. You don't have to continuously brush off the idea of Colby Covington beating him. And that's what we saw from Michael Bisping after the Gilbert Burns fight. That's what we saw from Bisping. It's clear as day. Bisping hates Colby Covington. We saw that in the interviews that he did before Colby fought Masvidal. It was 100% sided on Masvidal. Everything he said, he was sitting there like a little puppy licking Masvidal's ass. It was quite embarrassing, to be honest with you. A lot of people, including Ian Gary, the Irish fighter, brilliant fighter, including these guys that had questions over the decision. Now, I had a slight question over the decision in the fight. Do I think Khamzat did enough to win? He probably did. Would I have been massively surprised if Gilbert Burns had got the decision? No. I wouldn't have been, and I explained that in the last video. First round was Khamzat, second round was Gilbert Burns. First half of the third round, Khamzat came out really strong. He had the fire in his eyes, and it was admirable. It was brilliant. But halfway through that round, he started to fade. Gilbert Burns landed some big punches in the end of that third round. So when it went to the judges' card and we were waiting for the decision, I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if Gilbert got the hand raised. I wouldn't have been surprised at all. That's not me shitting on Khamzat at all. That's not me being some sort of an asshole towards him and his rise in the UFC. Absolutely not. I wouldn't have been surprised. That was my genuine take on the fight. So Bisping didn't feel any of what I just said there. He just kind of thought that it was a Khamzat show, that he ran through him, absolutely no problem, and he would do the same to Colby. Let's have a look.
That's the fight that they make. Sign me up, take my money already, because that is sensational. But if he gets through Chaos Covington, which there's a really good chance, then you got to think it's a title fight next. But anyway,
not much adversity in the Gilbert Burns fight. He pretty much made it look like it was a run through. And if there was any questions coming from fans online or any little pushback on that narrative, you have the obligatory, well, he's jumping from 11 to number 2 in the world. He's number 2 in the world. I must have heard that a million times. We never heard it on the run up to the Gilbert Burns fight. We never heard it. All we heard is that Gilbert Burns was a stepping stone to either Colby Covington or to Kamaru Usman or to Israel Adesanya. This outlandish talk that I already spoke about. We never heard that he's a number 2 contender, that Gilbert Burns is an absolute beast of a fighter. We didn't hear that. We only heard that after the actual event, after Khamzat got rocked, after he got into trouble, after he lost his first round ever in an MMA octagon. So Bisping's reaction here, probably minutes after the fight ended, was to think that there's a really good chance that Khamzat was going to destroy Colby Covington and go on and fight Kamaru Usman. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure other pundits were on the same page as Michael Bisping.
Absolutely not. He's got some room for growth, you guys. That's where people need to understand. His stand-up tonight, it didn't look impressive. Don't get me wrong. He landed some clean shots. He did some good stuff. Okay, but Gilbert is not a stand-up king either. He's a jiu-jitsu practitioner who's one of the best in the world. Okay, so when you're trying to compare, he was able to get Gilbert down, but he didn't really do a whole lot on the ground either. So when you're talking about, now Gilbert is the top one, he's the number 2 guy right now. You're number 2 in the rankings, but number 3 in the world at that weight class for the UFC. I'm just simply saying, he has room for growth.
So that seems to be the narrative that's been handed to us by the MMA media in the aftermath of this fight. It pretty much goes, yes, he just beat the number 2 guy and made a massive jump. 2, the hype train isn't over. And 3, there's room for growth, guys. He's human after all. This is something that we were saying all along when you were hyping him up to be 3-division champion before he even got into a real fight. This is what we were saying. This is all we wanted. An open discourse and a little bit of honesty, and not gaslighting and not pushing the commodity all the way to the top without actually having to do the groundwork. That's all I'm talking about. I mean, Chael Sonnen came out and said, yes, Chimaev is as good as we all thought, but a lot of ye just didn't understand what we meant by that. A lot of ye didn't understand what we meant by that. So there was this like clandestine talk happening that the normie fans couldn't grasp it. So when you were saying this guy can beat everyone, he's going to run through everyone, what you really meant was, well, he's making a massive jump and he's going fighting the number 2 guy from the number 11. You're absolutely crazy if you don't think that's a massive achievement, and he's human, he's going to get hit, he's going to lose rounds. So that's what you meant by he's going to run through everyone, and we just didn't grasp it. We just weren't clever enough to get that. Okay, I see what we're doing here. I know where we're at now. In terms of the rematch with Gilbert Burns and Khamzat, I didn't even think about it. I saw this article today in the aftermath of hearing Chael Sonnen talk about a rematch. Instead of pushing Khamzat into this fight with Colby Covington, who he clearly isn't ready for right now. Can he make adjustments in the aftermath of the Gilbert Burns fight, then go on and fight Colby? I'm sure he can. He's dedicated, he's strong-minded, he's got a really good chin, and he's just an animal of a fighter. So yes, he can make the adjustment, he can go on and he can fight Colby Covington. I still don't think he wins. I really don't think he wins. Gilbert Burns almost had his hand raised. He almost had his hand raised, but he came away with nothing. He came away with a bonus of 50,000. That was good, but he doesn't get a big Showtime event. He doesn't get the headline the next event. He doesn't get a title shot. He gets pretty much nothing, and he almost had his hand raised. We have to understand that. On one side, we have the massive hype train of Khamzat, and on the other side, we have the number 2 guy who you love to say that he's a number 2 guy, Gilbert Burns. Well, Gilbert Burns went out there and fought like a warrior, and what did he get in the aftermath of that? Nothing. He got 50G, that's great, but where's he going from there? It's a hard pill to swallow for him. I do not think that the idea of Gilbert Burns' next fight being a rematch with Khamzat is a crazy idea. I don't think that's a crazy idea at all. It was Chael Sonnen that planted that seed in my head. And now that I think of it, instead of having these back and forth arguments with people online about whether he's ready for Colby, whether he's ready for Usman, why not build on the experience of this fight with Gilbert Burns, go on to the next fight, have it be a 5-rounder, have it be a headlining event, and let's see what it's all about. And after that, we will judge exactly what Khamzat is capable of. I don't think that that's a crazy idea. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your thoughts on all the bits and pieces that we touched on here. I absolutely love the comments, love to engage in them, and as I said, keep them coming and we'll have a conversation. Thanks very much, and subscribe. Cheers.